Hi, this is Heather K. Margolis with Channel Maven, and this is a new episode of CMCtv. Today I'm joined by Susan Reynolds, VP Partner Ecosystem with IBM's Cognitive Application Group.
Exactly.
I got it.
You're perfect.
Okay. It's not an acronym either, so usually.
Right. It's real words.
Thank you so much for coming into our little office, our little studio in Boulder.
It's fantastic.
Your backyard.
So
yeah.
I can practically walk here. So
yeah,
it's great.
Absolutely. So we've been talking a bunch about, remember when everyone was talking about helping partners move to the cloud and move to recurring revenue?
Right.
We're still talking about it.
I know.
It's still 10
We haven't
years.
finished.
Well, and I think part of it is great. Some of our partners have said, you know what, I'm going to remain a VAR. There's still need for on-prem. That's not ideal for my business. I'm retiring in however many years. And there's just that much more business for them and all of the partners.
Right. I mean, I think financial services, there are a lot of areas where customers are not going to go to the cloud immediately, or they have reasons for doing things the way they're doing them. And so we would never want to ignore that. But the reality is we did kind of get that model down from the vendor side and the partner side. So I feel like why we talk about the recurring revenue side of it so much, whether you're talking about a cloud side or a software application or whatever that is because there's still things we are figuring out in terms of how to be profitable in that model on the vendor side and on the partner side.
Right. Well, and to your point, 10 years ago, we taught the partners how to do it. Then we had to say, wait a second, our program doesn't work anymore. The tiers, the requirements, the benefits, they're different for an MSP. And that shift then led to, okay, now we've shifted our channel. We blew up our channel and put it back together. And to your point, it's much more robust and has all these bells and whistles. But then the tools and the demand gen had to change. And that I feel like we're in the middle of. I feel like we're just now realizing, oh, right, when all of these other things shift, that needs to change as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like when I'm in conversations with partners, what we talk about now is not just leads. It's about how do we take a lead and nurture it, right? The cycle, the marketing cycle in a recurring revenue model has this nurture stage, often digital. And so when I'm with partners, we're talking about the same things, right? How do we recruit the right talent? What does that talent look like? It's different than the marketing teams that we've had, again, collectively across both groups. How do we have those folks work together? How can we talk about and progress a lead together? And so I think you're exactly right. We on the vendor side are having to change the way the programs interact because we see what we're executing with the partners looks very different.
Well, and it's so funny you talk about the nurture stage because I think we in IT are always a little slower when we're doing B2B marketing. Mm-hmm. So the nurture stage, it's still there's more social, there's more content. And it used to be that marketing went to here and then stopped and then sales picked it up and nurtured, which meant built the relationship, whereas now sales is doing some marketing activities and marketing's doing some sales activities.
Right, and I think we're seeing that the real goodness is that it is more effective to do it that way, but the way you just described it is perfect. What is the uniqueness that we're still, I think, working on as partners and vendors is you've got sales and marketing working together in this sort of more seamless way. It's not a knife-edged role.
Right.
And you have vendors and partners working together that way. So I think that is where we're all continuing to figure it out together. And it's an interesting time because I feel like we're piloting more things than I've ever have before. And I tell my team, we should be piloting things because if we're trying it the same old way, we're not really acknowledging how it's different. And so we've got, new things that are good, new ways that we're, bringing partners into the sales cycle and actually looking at what sales play is coming from the partner and having our digital sellers using that as the context. So it's not just what is the IBM technology, but really what is the outcome? And if you're selling an outcome, you're selling the partner services with it. So those kind of things, piloting, really doing it in this much more integrated way is what I feel like the trend is now.
Well, and integration's huge. And there was another shift while we were off changing our channel program. Exactly. Buyers decided that the line of business manager was going to be the decision maker.
Right.
So they don't care about speeds and feeds. They care about the business outcome specifically for their line of business.
Right.
So our partners and our sellers have had to figure out how to also make that shift. And I think some have said, you know what, I'm going to retire. I'm good. And the ones that are really learning more and coming up with more strategies and nurture strategy are the ones that are doing well.
Well, and it's a very interesting shift because you see some new players, right? I feel like when we had, as you said, 10 years ago in the VAR space, it took a while, right? When you started a new business to really have a new one that you or I would be like, oh, now that's an up-and-coming partner. It took them a few years. What I'm seeing now is you'll see, new companies get set up. They would never describe themselves as a VAR.
Right.
And they move immediately into that space. Their age is different. Their profile is different. How they see social is totally different.
Right.
They don't see that as an addition to their marketing. They see that as
they opened their laptop and started a company.
It's their core.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really interesting to me is the rise of those new players coming in, and they also have extremely little patience with the old programs. So it's really forcing us as vendors to, and I've never had a year as a vendor where I was working on some kind of a simplification project, but this is just a real, a new kind of force on that in terms of driving that.
Right. Unfortunately for those of you and formerly me, I almost said us, on the vendor side, to simplify it for the partner, it's more complex for us.
Right.
But that's okay. You just have to do what's right for your partners.
And continually ask the question, because I think when we, on the vendor side, if we did it once and put it in a program, is because some partner told us somewhere it was important.
Right.
And so we hang on to a lot of old things because we're thinking they're important, and really with partners sitting down and saying, okay, here's what are the 3 things, right, that we can't live without, and the ones that we can live without. And that's, to me, the most powerful way to do it.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about making more money.
Right.
And helping your partners be successful.
Right. So. And I think there's other things that we see, roles like the customer success managers, right, with partners, that I feel like we as vendors, again, as you and I talk about, what are really the things as vendors that we want to offer in new ways. And you might not describe it as a program term necessarily,
right?
But you might offer to partners different kinds of enablement that that's not really tied to the solution, but that's tied to how do they do business. And so with a role like a customer success manager, which is a pivot point, right, on profitability.
It's not sales now. It's somebody who's a totally different persona who's nurturing the customer.
Exactly. And doing that in a way that's very clear on how do you get ROI on that, right? How do you measure those folks? How do you want them to contribute to the organization? And those are things for a lot of partners that I talk to. They understand intellectually that's a role that they need, but I'm so much better off if I can teach a partner everything IBM has learned about how do you have a successful customer success manager.
Right.
And that again you can apply that across any solution that you want, those kind of functional knowledge.
Yes.
And so I think that's another thing that we're really changing on the vendor side is when we think about how do we work with partners to collectively make customers happier, we've got to think about our solution, but also the recurring revenue business model and what does that change? And we have been talking about that for a while, but there's areas like that, like customer success manager, where I think we all sort of started on the demand side, we spent some time there, and now we're continuing through kind of the customer life cycle into that because we have more and more customers that are right in their 2nd and 3rd years of renewal.
Right. And it's not, we used to talk renewal like when I was at a hardware vendor. We were, they're years up for the solution. Let's give them a call and see what's going. But it's different. It's keep making sure that they're happy throughout.
Oh yeah, if you have not spoken to them until you call them for a renewal, you pretty much know what that answer is.
Right.
I mean that is not.
We're not even using it.
Right. That is not going to go well.
Right.
And so and the sort of data that other competitors have on each other is very tied to that. So we're all getting better at that, I think.
Right. So we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. I would love to have you back.
Yes, of course.
You're literally right down the street.
I can make that happen.
I'm going to call on that. And thanks everyone so much for listening. Susan, thanks for being here. It was great to talk to you. Tune in next time and be sure to hashtag CMCtv.